Welcome to our play, Pet Peeves, Dear Gabby meets Judge Julie. And this evening, we're very honored to have the playwright. Al Smith has written 7 plays and directed this one. And I'd like Al to come up here so he can be in a picture for the television, please. We have done 4. This will be the 4th of Al's plays that we've done, and we're looking forward to doing another one in the spring. Is it Madness? Madness. His plays are marvelous because they really speak to seniors. So we're just really happy to have him here. Thank you. We find ourselves at Hillcrest, a full care facility for retired seniors. Gabriella Gordon, a retired journalist and social worker, writes an advice column for The Happenings, the resident newsletter. Her column is called Dear Gabby. Currently at Hillcrest, 2 residents are experiencing problems with each other's pets. Horace Hadley's cat uses Suzanne Smith's flower garden as a litter box. Suzanne Smith's mangy dog causes Horace to itch all over. They both write letters to Dear Gabby. Sisters Joni and Kathy Lyman, also residents, are the gossip machines at Hillcrest. Our players will now introduce themselves. As you have already noticed, I am the narrator. My role is to welcome you and introduce each scene.
Good evening. I'm Gabriella Gordon. Most people know me as Dear Gabby. I write an advice column for The Happenings. My motto is no fake news. Oh, and I volunteer at the gift shop here at Hillcrest.
I'm Gabriella's brother, Ben. We talk on the phone a lot. Gabby often uses me as a sounding board for her articles. I also play the part of the court bailiff toward the end of the play.
I am Suzanne Smith. My whole world revolves around Cutums, this most adorable little thing. Look at that face. Oh, and this is my husband, Peter.
Hello, I am the afterthought husband, Peter Smith, whose job is to keep Susie and the dog in line. Not an easy job.
Horace Hadley is my name, and I'm the proud owner of Buster, the cat who must be obeyed.
We are the Lyman sisters. I'm Joni, and I know everything that goes on here at Hillcrest because I hear all and I see all.
I'm Kathy, Joni's sister. Not only do we hear all and see all, but we tell all.
I'm Judge Julie. I am noted for my fairness in dealing with disputes between neighbors, family members, and relatives. I am also a TV star.
Horace and Suzanne are at the gift shop making purchases and are curious to know when the next happenings will appear with the latest Dear Gabby.
Good morning, Suzanne. Oh, hi, Horace. I'll be right with you. How can I help you today, Suzanne?
Just some stamps and birthday cards, please. So many grandchildren, it's hard to keep up.
And along with those cards, Suzanne, why don't you send that mangy dog of yours to one of those grandkids as a birthday present? That would make me so happy.
What was that, Horace?
I said that I bet those kids are so happy that you always remember them like that.
That's true, Horace. Is that all for you today, Horace, the kitty litter?
Yes, I can't believe how fast Buster goes through a bag of this.
I don't know why he needs any litter at all when Buster uses my rose bed for his litter box.
What was that, Suzanne?
Oh, I was just saying that I'm surprised that you need anything because I'm working on my rose garden.
I do admire anyone who can grow roses. How do you do it, Suzanne?
Well, it's not easy when odd pests come around on a regular basis and messy up my rose garden. Now, what was that cat's name? Buster. What a ridiculous name to name your cat. Who would do that? Insane.
One more time, Suzanne, I didn't quite catch that.
Oh, just noting how insane it is to spend so much time on my roses. By the way, Gabriella, when does your next issue come out?
In a few weeks. The deadline for submitting letters is next Friday. Do you have a burning issue for me?
Oh, I would say it's more like smoldering issue.
Oh, dear. Smoldering describes a problem you've had for a long time.
Oh, way too long.
How about you, Horace? Do you have any burning issues?
Well, it's more like an itchy issue. And the thought of it makes me itch all over. Suzanne has got to get some treatment for that mangy dog of hers.
What's his name?
I can't remember its name. Oh, yeah. Cutums, I think. What a stupid name for a dog.
Did you say something, Horace?
Yes, I said I think my issue causes me to itch all over.
Sounds like a prickly problem for sure. Horace, are you looking for advice for your itchy issue?
Well, yes, I am. I do have a draft of a letter that I might submit to you, dear Gabby. And boy, did I let Suzanne have it about that mangy dog going on the common areas at Hillcrest. Gross.
Did you say something, Horace?
I said that I'm just sure that in the letters that Gabriella receives, there are probably many common areas of concern.
Yes, that is true.
Tell me, Gabriella, just how does your advice column work?
People write about their concerns, and I use my experience and background as a social worker and a journalist to offer practical advice.
Yeah, and here's some practical advice for Suzanne. Keep that mangy dog away from the Hillcrest residents.
What did you say, Horace?
Oh, I was just sitting here thinking how much the Hillcrest residents profit from Gabby's advice column. Tell me, Gabby, how freely and openly can we express our concerns?
Well, I'd say within reasonable bounds.
And what are reasonable bounds?
Definitely no profanity and no character assassination.
Damn, there went my first paragraph.
I'm submitting my letter as is.
Suzanne has returned home and is discussing with husband Peter the letter that Suzanne has just sent to dear Gabby.
Hi, Susie. Where have you been?
At the gift shop, I went to get some cards and stamps. You know, Gabriella works there.
Ah, so you saw dear Gabby. Did you tell her you've been working on a letter that you are thinking about submitting?
Well, I didn't say too much because Horace was there too.
Uh-oh. I hope you two didn't get into it over your pet peeves.
Well, he did mutter a few things, and so did I, but I don't think Gabriella noticed.
I would think that an advice columnist would be very perceptive of people's interactions. Did she ask you about any concerns you might have?
Oh, and I told her that I had an issue that had gone from burning to smoldering.
Did Horace mention any issues he might raise and write about?
He kept scratching himself and saying that his issue made him itch. Very strange.
And did dear Gabby make any suggestions about how to write the letters?
Only that there should be no bad four-letter words and no character assassination.
Good. Now let's reread your letter and do some editing before you mail it to dear Gabby.
Too late. I put it in the mailbox on the way home.
You what? Suzanne, that letter was not ready for public eyes.
Why not?
You just said that dear Gabby doesn't allow bad four-letter words and defamation of character.
I didn't use any bad four-letter words.
What about the word merd? You repeated it several times in the letter, as I recall.
I was referring to the dirty business that cat leaves in my rose garden. Besides, merde is a five-letter word, and it's French.
What does that have to do with anything?
Well, I think French adds some cachet.
Oh, for pity's sake, Suzanne, merde is merde, no matter what language it's in. And what about character assassination?
What? I didn't denigrate anyone's character.
You called Horace's cat a deplorable, depraved, useless feline that should be put down. Don't you call that character assassination?
We're talking about a cat that has no character, not a person.
Well, I don't think Horace is going to see it that way.
Well, it's the truth. And if that cat did have any character, it would have better potty manners.
I'm not saying you don't have grievances, Susie. I just think you ought to tone it down a bit to meet Gabby's guidelines.
If I tone it down, she might miss the point.
I don't think there's any chance of that. But if you don't revise it, she certainly won't print it.
Well, how can I revise it now? I already mailed it.
Well, you just mailed it today. Why don't you call her this afternoon, tell her that the letter is coming, explain that you went a little over the top in some parts, and ask her for advice as to how to rephrase.
Okay, You're right. I'll call her from the cafe. I'm taking Cutums out for our regular afternoon's treat.
No treats for Cutums. They're not good for him.
Who says? I'll just slip him a few nibbles from my cookie. How bad can that be?
I give up.
Joni and Kathy, our Hillcrest gossips, enter the cafe and see Suzanne on her cell phone.
Oh, good. More people are coming in. We are in the perfect spot.
Well, I'm not so sure.
Why not?
Well, there's that dog again. The sight of it makes me itch all over.
But look, Suzanne is on her cell phone. We want to be close enough to hear what she's saying, don't we?
Of course, but not too close. No. Of course, but not too close.
I'm pretty good at reading lips, you know.
I know. It's hard to keep anything from you, you lucky dog.
Speaking of dogs, just look at how she feeds bits of her cookie to that squeaky little creature. Have you ever?
No, I never. Let's try to listen in.
I'm glad you're sitting closest to her head is turned away from me, so I can't read her lips. What's she saying?
If you'd just be still for a minute, I might be able to hear her.
Oh, that's great, Gabby. You haven't read my letter yet.
What is she saying? What is she saying?
She's talking to dear Gabby from the happenings. Something about a letter she wrote.
A letter to dear Gabby. This should be juicy. What else did she say?
How can I listen when you keep interrupting? Be still.
It's about a cat owner I know and his annoying pet. I'm afraid my words were a little too strong, and I wonder if I could make a few changes.
The letter is about a cat owner.
Horace. I knew it. It's about Horace.
She said the language was too strong and she wanted to change it.
Oh, strong was it? I can just see those four-letter words flying onto the page as Suzanne attacks poor Horace.
Quiet. She's talking again.
I was in quite an emotional state at the time. My feelings were so strong. So when I wrote that he was deplorable, depraved, useless, and should be put down.
My goodness, I can't believe it.
Can't believe what? What did she say?
She said that Horace was deplorable and depraved and should be shot. Have you ever?
No, I never. I knew that those two had some occasional squabbles, but I didn't think she was contemplating murder. Oh, have you ever?
No, I never.
What is she saying now?
She's not talking now, just listening.
Oh,
there she goes again.
And there's just one more thing. At the peak of my anger, I did use some profanity in the letter. That will need to be changed.
Oh, I can't believe it.
What? What's so unbelievable? Tell me, tell me.
Suzanne called Horace a bunch of filthy names. Have you ever?
No, I never. See, I told you the four-letter words would be flying off the page. And in a letter to dear Gabby, In our residence newsletter. No, I never. Suzanne is talking again. Quick, Joni, listen to what she is saying.
Thank you, Gabby, for your advice. I'll do as you ask. And thanks for considering my letter.
Well, you won't believe what I just heard.
I believe it, I believe it. Just tell me.
She thanked dear Gabby for printing her letter. Quick, we've got to warn Horace. Let's corner him in the cafe after dinner tonight.
After dinner, Kathy and Joni descend on Horace, who is seated alone at a table in a corner. They are eager to give him their interpretation of the half of the conversation they heard between Suzanne and dear Gabby.
Oh, Horace, I'm so glad we caught you before you left. You won't believe what we heard about you this afternoon.
Well, normally, I don't believe a thing that these two hear or say, okay?
What was that, Horace?
Oh, I just said if anybody knows what's going on here at Hillcrest, it would be you two.
Seriously, Horace, we we heard Suzanne on her cell phone with dear Gabby. She said some horrible things about you and your cat, and a letter that's going to appear in the happenings.
Where did you hear this?
We went to the cafe for a coffee, and there she was talking on her phone. We sat close enough so we could hear everything she said.
But not too close.
And I bet she had that silly little cutie pie sitting right there with her.
Cutums.
What?
Her dog's name is Cutums,
Oh.
not Cutie Pie.
That's a dumb name for a dog anyway. Whatever she calls that creature, just the thought of it makes me begin to itch. I bet that's why you're scratching too, Kathy.
Yes, you're right. The thought of it is bad enough. The sight of it is overwhelming.
So what horrible things did she say about me?
That you were depraved and deplorable and should be shot.
What? I can't believe she'd say that.
Well, she did, didn't she, Joni?
Indeed she did. I can't imagine why she would say such a hateful thing.
Well, she doesn't like my cat, I know that.
What gives you that idea, Horace?
Oh, I saw Suzanne this morning in the gift shop where I was buying some kitty litter for Buster, and just the mention of his name drew some really dirty looks in my direction.
Speaking of dirty looks, Suzanne also said that she used some dirty words about you in her letter.
Oh, now this is serious. She doesn't have to like me, that's okay. But using four-letter words against me is going way too far, especially the word S-H-O-T, shot. What do I do about this attack?
Counterattack, Horace.
Exactly, Horace. You must fight fire with fire.
But how do I do that?
Write your own letter to dear Gabby. Describe how she neglects her dog and how it's a menace to public health and safety.
Well, I did write a letter to dear Gabby about those very issues, but I haven't sent it yet.
Why not?
Because Gabriella made it quite clear that the letters in her column could not attack another person's character and must not use profanity. My letter does both.
Good. Good. Way to go, Horace.
But I've exceeded dear Gabby's boundaries no character attacks, and no four-letter words.
Well,
Well, she took Suzanne's letter full of insults and four-letter words, didn't she, Joni?
yes, I heard Suzanne say, "Thanks for your advice and for taking my letter."
So, do you think I should send my letter in as is?
Oh, yes. Tell us what you said, Horace.
At this point, Peter, Suzanne's husband, has returned to the cafe to pick up an extra dessert. He sees Horace with the two sisters and decides to take a seat in the corner nearby where he can hear but cannot be seen.
Well, I started my letter by saying that Suzanne has no clue about responsible pet care.
Just a minute. That's my wife you're referring to. No one cares more about cutums than Susie.
Oh, come on, you're being too nice. Give it some oomph.
Okay then, this is how I put it. If I may quote myself a minute, I said, Suzanne is an irresponsible, disgustingly crude, and overindulgent pet owner who should be jailed for behavior that engenders the public at large.
Whoa. Those are fighting words, Mr. Hadley. Words that could lead to a libel suit, if I know Susie.
Way to go, Horace. That's what I would call super umph.
What else did you say, Horace?
Well, I guess I did get a little profane when I wrote that she should bloody well keep that damn little nuisance off the furniture in the Hillcrest common areas.
Now, just watch your language, Horace. That damn bloody little nuisance is Susie's darling cutums. More ammunition for our libel suit.
Attaboy, Horace. Suck it to her.
And to that mangy mutt of hers.
Hold on, ladies. That's going too far.
And did you tell Gabby about how Suzanne treats your cat, Buster?
Yeah. Did you tell her? Did you tell her?
Oh yeah, I contrasted her overindulgent attitude toward cutums with her meanness to my sweet Buster. Do you remember that day she ran out the door, shooing frightened Buster away for no apparent reason?
Oh, yes. Didn't she take a broomstick after your poor little kitty?
That witch. She should take her broom and fly away and leave our innocent pets alone.
I can't believe I'm hearing all this. No apparent reason. The little bastard had just made a mess in her rose garden. Fly away on her broom? What an awful thing to say.
Ladies, I want to thank both of you for your encouragement and advice. I'm going to get that letter off to dear Gabby right now.
Good. I know she'll print it.
She'll have no choice since she has agreed to publish Suzanne's diatribe.
Peter has heard enough of this conversation to know that he must hurry home to tell Suzanne what he has just learned. He finds her eagerly awaiting the dessert he was supposed to bring her.
Susie, put on your armor and get ready for World War III.
I just wanted some dessert. Not an armed conflict. Didn't the cafe have any more desserts?
No, I got distracted when I saw Horace and the Lyman sisters being chums, so I decided to hide in a corner and listen in. They were talking about you and your letter. Evidently, Horace is also sending a letter to dear Gabby, complaining about you and Cutums.
What do they have to complain about?
Actually, it sounded more like a declaration of war than a complaint.
Well, what did they say?
Just that you're an irresponsible pet owner and should be jailed.
Jailed? Who said that? It was Horace, wasn't it? He's the one that should be jailed.
And that you're a witch who abuses other pets at Hillcrest, beating them with your broom.
I have no doubt that it was the Lyman sisters that spewed that malicious bit of fake news.
And that Cutums is a nuisance and a mangy mutt.
Oh, what? That's all in his letter? Gabrielle will never print it.
They're sure that she will because it's a perfect response to your letter.
But remember, my letter isn't in print yet, even with the changes I asked Gabriella to make. So now it's up to dear Gabby.
Gabriella is looking at all the letters she's received in the last month, trying to decide which ones to select for her next column. She's on her cell with her brother Ben, who calls regularly.
Hi, Gabby. Ben, just checking in. How are things going? I bet you're buried in tons of letters.
Yes, Ben, you won't believe it. I have more than 50 letters this month. It's going to be so difficult to pick just 2 or 3 for this month's column.
What are some of the topics?
Oh, you know, the main usual stuff. Complaints about the aches and pains, inquiries about remedies, difficulties with family members, financial decisions, worries about what to do with the family treasures, things that seniors focus on.
Did you get any hot topics that might set the Hillcrest happenings on fire?
I do have these letters from 2 residents complaining about the other's pet.
I remember you talking about the lady who sent you a letter and then called you to ask you if she could make some changes. How did that go?
Yes, she's the one. She broke every boundary rule in the book, and her revised letter did little to change that.
How so?
She replaced the French word merde with mess and said that Horace's cat Buster should be euthanized instead of put down.
I see what you mean, Gabby. Changing a few words, but the same malicious intent. That was Suzanne Smith complaining about Horace's cat, wasn't it?
Yes, she's the one.
I bet you got a letter from Horace also.
Yeah.
And I imagine his letter was complaining about Susan's dog, Cutums. Every time he gets near that dog, he starts scratching.
How observant you are, Ben.
So, are you going to print those letters in the Hillcrest happenings and give the Hillcrest residents a seat for the World War III?
Are you kidding? I'm rejecting both of them, of course.
Wise choice, Gabby. I gotta go. I'll be in touch.
By chance, Horace and Suzanne encounter each other in the lounge area by the front desk. Suzanne and her dog are blocking Horace's access to his mailbox. You can almost see the sparks flying as they attack each other.
Oh, there you are, you miserable excuse for a human being.
Now, you just hold on a minute right there, Suzanne. those are very, very strong words. And would you please get that furless pile of eczema out of my way so I can just get my mail?
How dare you insult my cutums like that? I could sue you for saying that.
Well, why don't you then? And I'll countersue you for saying that I should be shot.
I never said that. Who told you that?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Well, here's one thing I do know. You not only insulted my dog, you called me a witch.
Oh, I never said that. Who told you that?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Oh, I'll see you in court, Suzanne.
You certainly will, as soon as you get your subpoena from my lawyer.
Our plaintiffs, Suzanne and Horace, appear before Judge Julie, who is hearing, hearing their cases. Witnesses are husband Peter, columnist Dear Gabby. The Lyman sisters are also present. Horace has just finished presenting his complaint. Suzanne stands before the judge.
Now, Judge, just look at this darling.
What is that thing?
He's not a thing. He's my precious cutums. I thought you should see him before I gave my testimony.
I don't need to see him. Would the bailiff please get that dog out of this courtroom? This courtroom is not a kennel.
But please, Your Honor, just look at that sweet little face.
You see what I mean, Your Honor? She drags that silly dog around with her everywhere she goes.
Quiet, Mr. Hadley. You've had your turn.
Yeah, but just look at the way she cuddles that thing.
Silence, Mr. Hadley, or I'll hold you in contempt. Now, bailiff, please remove that dog from the courtroom.
Oh, please, Your Honor, let Cutum stay. He won't be any trouble.
He's already causing trouble. Don't worry, Mrs. Smith. The bailiff will take good care of him. Please give that dog to the bailiff.
Please
Take
take
good care of Cooper's, Mrs. Smith. You can be...
Now, Mrs. Smith, please state your case.
Well, Your Honor, that man has said terrible things about me and little Cutums.
Give me some specific examples.
For one thing, he called me a witch.
I did not.
Did too.
And you said that I should be shot.
I did not.
You did too.
Stop it, both of you, or I'll hold you in contempt of court. Now let's get to the bottom of this. Mrs. Smith, did Mr. Hadley call you a witch directly?
Oh, no.
Who told you that, Mr. Hadley?
My husband, Peter.
Peter, did you hear this?
I overheard a conversation between Horace and the Lyman sisters.
Mr. Hadley said, did Mr. Hadley say that Mrs. Smith was a witch?
Well, it was either Horace or one of the Lyman sisters he was talking to. Can't remember.
You know, Your Honor, that's right. It was Joni who said that, not me.
Did you say that, Miss Lyman?
Well, she does chase after Horace's poor cat with a broom.
So that makes her a witch, does it?
She's certainly mean to that cat.
Enough, ladies. We'll hear more about that later. Now, Mr. Hadley, did Suzanne say directly to you that you should be shot?
Well, no, but she wrote it in that letter that she sent to dear Gabby.
Dear Gabby, is that you, Mrs. Gordon?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did Suzanne say that he should be shot in her letter?
Well, not exactly, Your
There,
Honor.
you see what she said?
Quiet, Mr. Hadley. Please continue, Mrs. Gordon.
Well, she said that he should be put down. But that was in the first letter. In the revised letter, she said that he should be euthanized. But she wasn't talking about Horace, but his cat Buster.
I see. Did you publish the letter?
Of course not, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Hadley, what gave you the idea that Mrs. Smith was talking about you?
Well, that's what Kathy and Joni told me.
So we're back to the Lyman sisters again, are we? Kathy and Joni. Where were you when we thought you heard Suzanne say that Mr. Hadley should be shot?
We were in the cafe where Suzanne was talking on her cell phone to dear Gabby about her letter.
And you distinctly heard that Mrs. Smith said that Horace, Mr. Hadley, should be shot?
Well, I just heard her say he should be put down and assumed it meant Horace.
I'm trying to find the facts here. I'm not interested in your assumptions.
Well, I think it was a natural assumption.
Wanting a cat owner shot is not natural. Let's get back to the cat and the broom. Is it true, Mrs. Smith, that you chased Mr. Hadley's cat with a broom?
Only when he did his business in my rose garden.
Have you actually seen Buster in the act of doing his business in your rose garden?
Do you mean, is there any evidence?
Yes, statements from witnesses.
You want proof? Well, how about this?
Here.
All right, that's enough. Bailiff, please remove that evidence at once.
Your Honor.
It is clear to me that this whole case is a bunch of mud.
Can you believe it? Can you believe it, Joni? The judge just used a four-letter word in court. Have you ever?
No, I never. A judge using a four-letter word.
Mud is a five-letter word. And here is a six-letter word, closed. This case is closed.
But, Your Honor, you haven't announced your decision. Which plaintiff are you ruling in favor of? What about the suffering I've experienced as a result of Horace's letter and his cat?
And what justice has been delivered to me, who was called depraved and deplorable and should be shot?
My ruling stands. This court awards neither plaintiff a favorable judgment. My decision is final. Now here is my advice. Get your dog to the vet for a skin condition and keep it off the furniture in the common areas. Mr. Hadley, please keep Buster on a leash or indoors and away from Mrs. Smith's rose garden. As for the damages you seek, I suggest that Mrs. Smith, and Mr. Hadley return to this court with a suit against the Lyman sisters who escalated this entire event.
Okay. Let's talk.
Well, did you ever?
No, I never.
This court is adjourned.
Well, in that case, it's time to say
The end.